And away we go. And I'm back with yet another hobby stream. Just grinding, just hustling that hobby life. I want to paint the Neurooloid today. Figured it's been sitting here for quite a while unpainted. And the plan is to go with a high fleet Tiamat scheme. Because I think they're neat. So we got some grays and some teals on the docket here, so we'll get some dark sea gray going. Which should serve as an ideal base color for the pale skin. Francois, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Friendly Neighborhood Inquisitor, what's up? How goes it today? Pretty good. I saw some Space Marine 2 update news. Looks like a Hierophant, a barbed Hierophant, is going to be the new monster they're adding, which should be fun. I was kind of pleasantly surprised, honestly. I thought, like with all things GW, it would be based on, you know, featuring products which are matched play only, right? Which are the products which they want to encourage purchasing. And so to see a Forge World monster, which might even be a Legends Forge World monster, I was pleasantly surprised. It is pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah, as for the painting today, I want to paint up this Neurooloid and maybe touch up some remaining accessories on the Lieutenant right here. Hey, this is not an ideal setup. I adjusted my my camera arms and that kind of thing for my phone mount here. I don't think it's particularly comfortable, if I'm honest. I wonder if I can do some on-the-fly editing or adjustments. Can we lower this and tilt it a little bit? A little lopsided. Okay, maybe this is better. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Inquisitor says, yeah, it's cool seeing one in its true scale. Things the size of a city. Yep, it's pretty, pretty rad. Pretty cool. I was expecting, I don't know, some regular plastic kit, right? Non-Legends units. Maybe some of the newer products they want to kind of push. GW anyways. You know, I would expect like a Screamer Killer or something, right? Maybe a Norn Emissary, but no, you see a classic, an old school unit like that, it just feels like a wholesome choice. Francois says, well, I slept 16 of the last 24 hours. Hopefully I'm all caught up for my trip, and I can start getting back to normal. Oh, geez, were you under the weather, Francois? Or are you recovering from some jet lag, maybe? Kinda sounds like that's the case. For the carapace, I'm gonna go with the Incubi Darkness first, and I'll layer up some Sons of Horus Green. But you know what? Maybe before I layer up the Sons of Horus Green, I should probably paint the brains. Gotta paint inside to outside, I think. I think that's the proper path. Francois says, no, I drove roughly 4,000 miles last week on my road trip. Oh, very cool. Very cool. Quite the adventure, it sounds like. So what do you guys have on your hobby desk? Let's get some hobby sharing going. Let's foster some of that hobby camaraderie. Oh, friendly neighborhood inquisitor. You're painting up some Hearthkin Jaegers. Very cool. And Votan has a certain appeal. And the Jaegers definitely get style points for having their woolly trench coats. Are they woolly? That's how I remember them. And anyways, they have those long coats. Definitely get some style points. Painting up all their canvas and leather pouches at the moment. Ah, leathers. Ye old leathers. I'll need to paint up the leather straps on this guy as well. Particularly the ones on his shoulder pad there. But as per usual, I'm jumping around. I think what would look good for a High Fleet Tiamat Neurooloid would be a pink brains. So I'll probably use some Doomfire Magenta. I think that would be a good choice. And I'll maybe mix up some Off-White, which I have on my palette. I'm hoping it's still alive, with some Fluorescent Magenta. I think that will be sufficient. That's the hope anyways. Francois is plucking away on the same project as yesterday. All good, but you got a Night Valiant in the mail. That's not nothing. Okay, so I'm mixing a bit of bright, basically bright pink. And maybe actually instead of Doomfire Magenta Contrast, maybe it's better to use something a bit more muted. Don't want to draw too much attention here. Maybe Volupus Pink would also be maybe it'd be a better. And for the most part, I don't mind if this color splashes around, because I'm hoping it'll create an OSL type effect. But if it looks bad, we'll clean it up. Inquisitor has made a custom green canvas color for their packs, mixing Pro Acryl's camo green and khaki. Ah, very nice. I'm a big fan of mixing the colors myself. It kind of, there's a satisfaction that comes from mixing your own colors, you know, like instead of buying every variant of a color. Kind of mix your way there, you feel like an alchemist or something. Now I'll try and soften those blemishes. If we can help it. I wonder... What is this? Is this water or is this... Oh, this is glazing medium. Perfect. I just do another pass with a diluted mixture of this brighter pink. Inquisitor says, I like doing in-for detail bits that don't need uniformity across units. Oh, I like doing it for detail bits that don't need uniformity across units, but for major armor colors, mixing is basically my antichrist. Okay, I can appreciate that. Francois says, I hate mixing colors. It's hard to make consecutive batches that look match unless you leave some to dry on the palette. This is true. This is true. These are the follies of mixing your own colors. I still find it enjoyable. Yeah, but when I think of my own painting preferences, I think I have less of that that mild OCD that most have around having perfect uniformity in their collection, which is keeps things kind of happy-go-lucky, kind of carefree, but also certainly less of a cohesive aesthetic, which is not for everybody. Okay, let's put part of the reason I pay extra for GW paints is that they have 7 of each shade of color, and they can consistently stay the same over decades. Okay, well that's a notch in their favor, that's for sure. I mean, yeah, mixing colors isn't for everybody. I think you have to be accepting of the lack of uniformity. That's for sure. I'm trying to clean up this pink color a little bit by doing a reverse with the Incubi Darkness here. Just trying to soften it a little bit if we can. And I'm hoping, it's a bit of an experiment, right? But I'm hoping that doing this will just kind of really help the Volupus pink go the distance. And I suppose on these higher areas I can paint a bit of brighter pink. Oh, right, we've got these little nodules on his tentacles here. We'll keep these ones darker. And this guy's dead, so he should be powering down, right? They shouldn't be super vibrant. I think how the viscosity that we're working with here wants to sit in the recesses, but I think that'll work to the end result. It'll work in my favor here. I think it should create a pretty decent effect. Okay, with that in place, we can kind of begin to layer up the Sons of Horse Green, I think. Oh, Misfit! Just saw you've entered chat just now. Welcome! Welcome to the stream. Thanks for tuning in. How's it going? What's on your hobby desk this evening? Avery Barrow, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Look, we're getting the hobby morale is building even stronger. This is amazing. Misfit says, with the reveal of the new Kill Team starter set, I have ideas for the Astartes and Death Guard kill teams. Ah, very fun. Yeah, I poked some fun at the starter set. But it's not terrible to see those previously FOMO models available. Or maybe it is. Maybe that's feeding into how FOMO works, right? Now it's available. Buy it again. I don't know. What can you do? You can't win, okay? You can't win. Yeah, I had no idea they were going to use the Space Marine Primaris heroes they reappropriated them for the Kill Team starter, generic Astartes Kill Team. You know, when I read through the rules earlier in the month, I thought, oh wow, at least nice of GW to accommodate a generic Astartes Kill Team, right? But I was perplexed as to why is a captain here. It's very odd to me. And now we know why. It's because that set of models has a captain, and I'm just like, okay, fine. I see what it is. Not a lieutenant, though. And look, while I am painting a lieutenant at the moment, which does feel a bit close to home, that lack of not being able to field this guy in Kill Team, I think there's some merit to what I said around lieutenants being more suitable as Kill Team leaders. I mean, the whole premise of Kill Team to me kind of felt like a reason to have just the rank and file guys there, right? You wouldn't have your bosses, right? I think in an ideal world I wouldn't want captains or leaders in Kill Team. Me personally, anyways, right? That's just my position on it. Friendly Neighborhood Inquisitor says, I already got that Space Marine Kill Team when it was full FOMO. I'm just happy my Crimson Fist Kill Team is still legal. Look, that is cool that the previous products are being supported. That's fine. I just think it's weird. Kind of like Kind of like Abaddon in a combat patrol. It's also a captain with, if memory serves, very limited options. I don't know, I feel a little awkward about it. I'm just gonna, look, realistically, if I play that kill team for the Firekeepers, I'll probably just use this guy and count him as the captain. Honestly. I think that's what I would end up doing personally. For the lighter color, I want to mix in some Ogren camo to this Sons of Horus green. I think that would make for a perfect chitin lines color. Here's something a little in the same color family, but brighter. I'm going to push that a bit more. How far can we push it? Just gonna add a bit of texture with these ridges. That's the goal anyways. Oh, he's got more of his brain sticking out from underneath. What a weird creature. Misfit says all my Marines are Dark Angels, so I want something different. Yeah, I can appreciate that. Get some painting variety going on the hobby desk. All right, quickly before this off-white dries up, we gotta use this paint. It's very important. All right, that should do. Friendly Neighborhood Inquisitor says, honestly, I'd love to see them to be making a bunch more books about more obscure successor chapters. Yep, that would be cool. I mean, yeah, I think that would be appreciated. I think those books need to do their best to describe the landscape of the setting. It just, you know what, it really bothers me when we have yet to have the Lion or Angron come back and do anything. It feels so wasted. Feels so squandered. Like they just wanted to make a model. They have no idea what to do with them in terms of interesting interactions in the story and how that would affect the setting. It's very unsatisfying to me. I don't know. What do you guys feel about that? Is that a hot take? I don't think so. I think it's fairly reasonable. Let's try and layer this up a bit more. Friendly Neighborhood Inquisitor asks, do the Nova Marines have a book? I don't believe so. I recall them popping up in the Dark Imperium series for maybe like a chapter, and it might just be like a background element. That is a very cool successor chapter, though. Francois says, I can't wait for the Lion to discover Gilliman is actually Alfarius and to kill him. Yeah, fat chance. Fat chance, bro. It's very, very, very much the case that it is Gilliman. The memes. The memes have taken over. I both hate and love memes. I get partially annoyed because I feel like they muddy the discourse to a degree. Especially in the case of new people joining the hobby. On more than one occasion, I've found people learn about 40k a lot of the time through memes, right? I guess that's just the nature of it. Metal Gear Solid 2 was on the money. Memes control the flow of information. Okay, I think that's alright for the carapace. Don't want to spend too much time on it. Let us brighten up these tendrils. We'll do it one layer at a time. I don't think it has to be too fancy. We're going to cover this up with some basing pigments eventually. Some dusty, sandy pigments. So, I don't think it has to be too clean. Yeah, I honestly think that level of layering is probably fine. They do need to be white, though. So we'll continue building it up, but I don't think we need to get more detailed than this level of application. Inquisitor says, honest, GW seems pretty uninterested in writing any narratives this edition, it seems. Yeah. I think they're very hesitant to move, to progress anything, to suggest any events of interest. Which feels like a shame, because there's interesting pieces on the board, right? And it feels a bit... Look, it's... There's a school of thought where a lot of OG 40k fans and players prefer the setting to be static. So I get it. They don't want a setting that changes and updates and evolves and the dynamic changes. Which is, I think, great for, you know, a war game where you're making your own stories, right? I think that's where that standard kind of yields. It just, I think it's hard for me, anyways, to reconcile that against, like, oh, now Primarchs are coming back. Interesting things are happening. So what's the deal? Why is nothing of import taking place? Let's pump that brightness up. Silver Scratch build. How's it going? How's it going? What's up? We're painting, well, I'm painting a High Fleet Tiamat Neurooloid at the moment. That's the goal anyways. I got a reference up on screen here. Some artwork. Tiamat is just such a cool High Fleet. And I think everyone else is hobbying away as well. Sharing in the hobby camaraderie. We're out here. We're hustling. Oh, we can probably... add a bit of definition this one. Always gaming. How's it going? Just noticed you in chat. Thanks for tuning in. Great axe highlights look great. Ah, well, thank you. Thank you for that. I think it turned out really well. It was a bit of an experiment, but certainly looks like a weapon of import. Surely it's one of the chapter relics. Let's continue building up this white color. Need to build it up through many painstaking layers. And then add a wash to bring it all down, only to repeat the process. And then finally, it's going to look real good. Silver Scratchbuild says, looks like an orc blade. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. It's the, I never remember the name of them. The big yellow orcs in Age of Sigmar. That is what this weapon is from. And then a little bit of Tyranid bits on the side. Some green stuff scales along the top. I think it makes for a pretty decent Monster Hunter styled weapon. Right as you typed that, the song changed, eh, Inquisitor? Well, I appreciate the sentiment. Okay, let's add a little bit of wash to that. You're gonna mix some Colia Green Shade with, or you know what, let's use the Poxwalker shade. Gonna have to shake this very vigorously, so I'll be right back. Alrighty. I barely used this Poxwalker shade, so I don't know how potent it is. We'll try an approximate 1-to-1 dilution. And we'll see. We'll see if it's too much. I think we'll be okay. Just kind of want to put it all over. Too early. Too early to do that. Okay, so while it dries, maybe... Oh, shit. I was supposed to get my metallic red paint, and I forgot. What is a boy to do? Okay, we'll save it for a future process. With the Incubi Darkness, or I guess the Stegadon scale instead. We can do the blade handle and I guess the leathers. We'll do the leathers instead. So Steel Legion is going to mix in with our Rhinoxide from before, and hopefully give us a good range. It's looking very watery on the palette. I don't know if it's going to be a problem or not. Seems to be okay. So I'm just trying to add variation. Because I don't think every area needs to be as distressed, you know, like uniformly. Maybe it'll yield a good effect. We'll see. I think that's adding some nice variation. You can add a bit more as well with a color closer to pure Steel Legion drab. It's a pretty small surface, but I would love to get some scrape lines if possible. The strap on his shoulder should be ultra stretched. Or stressed. Yep, probably. You're probably right. I don't know how well that's coming across on camera, but I think sort of doing a weathering slash edge highlighting process here. So I guess it's fine. I've kind of painted this guy in a very sort of disorganized fashion. Just, you know, I started with just the sword, basically painted it to completion, and then the arm, and then we're moving around to the base with the Neurooloid and coming back up to the gun later. Look, we're enjoying the journey, okay? And that's what painting really should be about. I feel like the camera I have here doesn't, it's not the best at capturing color, unfortunately. Unfortunately. The strap color and the shoulder pad are looking kind of the same on the OBS feed. Okay, let me get some more, a little bit more Steel Legion drab, and do a final pass. Maybe mix in some of this yellow I have. Maybe that's a good idea. We'll see. Alright, I am going to go get my red metallic paint, because I feel like if I don't, I'll just never remember. So, I will BRB fellow hobby enjoyers. Try not to miss me. Oh, you miss me already, huh, Francois? Well, fear not. I have returned. Got some Metal and Alchemy, a paint... a paint I purchased because it was shiny and I wanted it. And this might be an interesting opportunity to finally use it, I think. So, look at that. Just a beautiful little pigment. If it's too shiny, you can always mute it a little bit with a wash, probably. We'll see, though. It might be okay as is. Metal and Alchemy's Viking Gold is top tier as well, huh? Well, I don't know. I added the as well, but it's nice to hear that the Metal and Alchemy brand is well received by others. It's a scale color, right? Yep. It is a scale color. Very cool. Yeah, a nice gold color is highly desirable, I think. GWs have largely left me unsatisfied. I do like P3's Blighted Gold, I think it's called. It's a nice, it's a great kind of color for a Black Legion gold. Like a real worn, ancient kind of gold color. I think it looks real good. Okay, let's get a bit more of the old Stegodon scale green. Which, let's be real, it's basically blue. Just gonna apply it to this knife handle, probably just give it a wash and call it done. Unless it looks bad, in which case I'll spend more time on it than I should. Yeah, the Monster Hunter blade will need a... I'm gonna paint it probably a color close to the current pale green of the tentacles. The weapon from Monster Hunter that I'm kind of loosely basing that blade on has a sort of off-white greenish wrap. So I want to try and mimic that as much as possible. Oh, maybe I can get your advice, chat. What do we do? What do you suggest about this sensor arm? Not the sensor, this panel. Yeah, it's got some buttons and a slider, which doesn't really matter. But what color should the screen be right here? Surely that's some kind of tactical display, right? So I'm open to suggestions. What color do you think would work best? Inquisitor says Pro Acryl's light bronze works great as a silvery gold. I use that a bunch too. Interesting. You know, I rate Pro Acryl. I haven't had too much experience with it myself, but a painter I trust, or whose opinion I value greatly, stands by it. And that's enough for me. Pro Acryl seems to be good stuff. Inquisitor suggests a blue or greenish yellow. Ah, I have those. I have such colors. Alright, so there's so many things I wish to do. Just brighten up the weapon handles a little bit. Already I'm working on the handles I said I wouldn't do. It is my curse. I think with a wash, it should be fine. We'll bring it back down. Now we still have the leathers on his wrist, on his forearm, I mean. Matt Gaming, you're back. Welcome. Welcome to the Cool Guy Club. Your company is most appreciated. We gotta keep the hobby morale high, of course. How's everyone's day been? It's been pretty cool. I was surprised to learn the Hierophant is the new monster they're adding to Space Marine 2. I was telling the chat earlier, I was a bit surprised by that. I figured it would, it might be just my, my being bad touched by GW showing here, but I sort of figured a new monster would be, you know, one of the newer bugs they've made models for. Not an old Forge World Titan. That was pretty cool. Feels like a wholesome choice, honestly. And, you know, I figured it'd be like a Norn Emissary or a Screamer Killer, a Pyrovore, not a Pyrovore. Jeez, I painted two of them. but I can't remember. Can't remember its name every time. The new bug that they made that likes to eat psychers. My point is, I figured it'd be one of the newer models they made. No, what's next? A malanthrope? It's getting kind of crazy. You know, the way GW makes their cinematics and their novels, it's like they don't want you to think about things they don't sell, right? Every Marine you see is some type of unit on the tabletop. Every faction or model, and you know, for instance, the opening cinematic we got for 10th edition, 9th edition, they're all the existing units that are in those boxes. But maybe Space Marine 2 is showing they have a bit more creative freedom. Which I think is certainly a good thing. Alright, I think those leather straps are looking pretty leathery. It's pretty good. Let's just use a bit of the Steel Legion Drab and Ogren camo on the palette here to highlight that cloth underneath. Or I would think it's some sort of membrane or skin, some sort of tissue. Let's give it a little highlight. Inquisitors gotta eat something? Look, Inquisitors need to eat too. This is what we learned today. Matt Gaming says the Titan looks amazing. Indeed. Indeed. That's pretty cool. I was hoping to be surprised. This darker? Yeah, I need to get more of the off-white. Francois says, well, if they maintain the standard, it'll be another of their worst model kits ever produced. It will be the Flying Forge World Titan bug. Oh, the... I know the model you're talking about, but the name escapes me at the moment. And Matt Gaming says the Banana Man himself, Shard of the Deceiver, if they ever did Necrons. Oh yeah, all those Kitans or Cetans or whatever, they all deserve dope models like the Void Dragon. Like fragments of real space gods. That's what they are, right? Sounds pretty epic if you ask me. Is my knife around here? It is not, but I have a knife blade. So we're gonna, whoops. We're gonna drop this expert use of tools here. I noticed there's a bit of flash, or not flash, but when I was doing the cutting and pasting and gluing, there's a little bit of debris, a bit of detritus at the seam. Okay, I think it's cleared up. Alright, so mix a bit of incubi with this gray, and that should get a pretty close color for what I want. For this blade handle. This Lagia Chris blade handle. Francois has got to sell that horrible Forgel stock. Horrible back stock. So Space Marine 2 tourists. Maybe. I mean, I'm very doubtful any enjoyers of Space Marine 2 who aren't tabletop enjoyers would purchase a Hierophant. I think it's very unlikely. This wash still alive? A little bit. It's alive enough. It's alive enough. I think putting some white highlights on this afterwards will look perfectly adequate. I'm noticing some errors that are bothering me on the armor. Partially a spot I missed and partially an error I made with that red. So I'm going to clean it up. Once I find my Nocturne green. Matt Gaming says, my friend wanted to buy something from the physical Forge World, and I was trying to convince him that when our teacher takes us to Warhammer World, it's probably not the best idea to go to Forge World and buy something. Yeah, probably not. Honestly, if someone isn't invested in the tabletop play space, and they just want a cool model for like a tabletop knickknack, you know, keep on their computer desk or something they can paint, I would probably recommend Kill Team over like a combat patrol. Honestly, I think. Start very, very small. Alright, pick up a Kill Team, paint them how you want. It's easier to play because, you know, that's your army, so to speak. That one box. think it's probably better. Matt Gaming says, also, you know how I said yesterday he changed from Space Marines to Orcs to Tau? Oh, I missed that yesterday. Today he just changed to Tyranids. He's so indecisive. I can kind of understand. There's a lot of... Look, I think it's very easy to like every army. Maybe that's just me, and maybe your friend as well. But it seems like there's always an angle. There's always some spin that you could kind of find, some niche. I think a good example of that is a buddy I have who he kind of hates the Eldar aesthetic. You know, small, graceful elven warriors, but even he is like a whole army of wraiths, wraith lords, wraith knights would be like cool as shit, right? And I don't disagree. It would be very cool. He bought a Stormhawk Interceptor already. Jeez. Well, now he's committed. I know a guy who buys and flips armies like that. He'll buy an army, hobby it out extremely fast, and the painting standard isn't even that bad. And then he'll fall out of love with the playstyle, or it's just not having the potency he imagined they would have, and he'd be like, okay, well, you know, I'll sell this on a used marketplace and start over. And I used to feel kind of a way about it, kind of like, what a weird way to engage with the hobby. But now I'm kind of like, well, if that's how he enjoys his hobby, why not? Let him enjoy it. Oh, scabbards are looking sharp with these edge highlights being added. Really jumping ahead of myself here. It's a very awkward positioning. Definitely would be great if I sub-assembled this guy, but look, it is what it is. Oh, he bought a Stormhawk Interceptor and a Weird Boy. And Francois says, that's what I've been collecting for a few years now. Ah, the Wraith Army, correct. You are correct, yeah. Only four M Wraith Lords, and I'll have just about everything for my... Or 4 more Wraith Lords, and I'll have just about everything for my project, except for an exact color scheme. Yeah, I think you can probably come up with something pretty cool. Pretty unique. I recall you mentioning, Francois, on a previous stream, that most craft worlds don't have a particularly aesthetically pleasing color scheme. The official ones, right? The main ones that GW has in the codexes. And I think you're right about that. And I don't know why that is. Maybe GW didn't want to encroach too much on, you know, Space Marine color schemes. But yeah, it's like really only Saimhan and Biltan look satisfying to me. The rest are kind of medium good. Medium good, if that makes sense. They're okay. Alright, so where do we go from here? How long have we been going for? Okay, I'll probably stream for another 30 minutes, guys. I think the 2-hour mark is a sweet spot. Just enough to get tuckered out from painting. Francois says medium good or kinda okay. Yep. I don't disagree. Kind of okay. Like the, which one is it? Alatok? I just have no... It sparks zero joy for me in the aesthetics. Why would you color yourself like that? You know, not to throw shade at long-time Alatok fans. I want to lessen this a little bit if I can help it. We'll see how that dries. And then with Nocturne Green, I want to clean up those armor blemishes I mentioned earlier. Which were right on the collar here. Good. And that spot there. That's from the silver, though. And right, we got some metal just pooling up in there, which is not ideal. It's gotta be dark in the crevasses, you know. It can't have shiny glints of metallic paint popping through. that should, I think, be fine once the contrast goes on top, which I think we're going to do next. So now the question is, Volupus, pink, or Doomfire? Like, this guy has a lot going on. So you know what, maybe it's better to use a more muted color. He's kind of at his accessory limit, honestly. Francois says that's my craft world, but not my color scheme. Well, I meant no disrespect. Honestly, it's you want let's mix that down a little bit. Yeah, I think why not have an offshoot craft world of a Litalk, right? Try to claim the best of both worlds, right? Like a successor chapter would. You know, you want your own space to do your own thing without the constraints of the parent chapter, but you kind of like the themes of the parent chapter. Seems like the way to go. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. We'll just put it all over. And hopefully suck up whatever overspills, if there's any areas of excessive poolage. That's a technical term. You guys may not be aware. Well, I think that's, it's working. I think those layers, those glazing passes we did are contributing to the intended effect, which is nice. Always nice when that happens. Oh, it's a bit severe on his foot there. Let's see if we can do something about that while we're still drying. Kind of mute that a little bit if we can. Francois says, I understand the Space Marine, they shall know no fear, brightly colored armor, but an endangered species, Eldar, in bright non-camo colors seems out of place, in my opinion. Add a disco ball, obviously. Yeah, I mean, I can see what you're saying, Francois. Maybe, what's the best spin we could do, right? Maybe it's something like they're just still an innately proud sort of species, right? They're all hoity-toity. You know, they want to rep their... I mean, be proud of their traditions, of their culture, so to speak. Maybe through that framing, you can kind of justify it a bit. At least a bit more, anyways. I think Eldar in lore, or on the tabletop. Maybe not. Let me restart this train of thought. I think, in a similar way, we have movie Marines, house rules that you see pop up every now and again. The idea that you can change the rules for Space Marines to more accurately describe them, right? So they could fight, a single Marine could easily take down 20 guardsmen or something like this, 20 conscripts or 20 cultists. I think you probably could have a similar spin on Eldar, right? Because I think they're both innately superhuman. I mean, Eldar are more glass cannons, but they're so elusive and so swift with their mobility that it would kind of be hard to put them down. Maybe similarly difficult for a mortal man as it would be to take down a Space Marine, right? Space Marines aren't as swift, but they're just tougher, they got better armor, right? But an Eldar would be an Eldari, an Eldar, let's be real. I know, I'd have to imagine an Eldar would be like so uncanny to watch move and keep track of, with like perhaps a level of mobility and a level of mobility that would probably be unnerving, maybe in a similar way to transhuman dread, but also just hard to keep track of. And with that framing, we can probably also spin the bright armor colors as well, because then at that point it doesn't matter, right? Until they're fighting something like equally supernatural or superhuman. Alright, so from here... Oh, I forgot. Forgot about these. These nodules. Let me get some more. Let me get some more of this contrast going. Matt Gaming says, my friend who knows not much about lore said, the only difference between chapters is the color and how racist they are, and it still cracks me up. Yeah, that's kind of an example of the memes spreading misinformation that I'm talking about. But if he's being tongue-in-cheek, then, disregard. That could very well be the case. And that should make these nodules look a lot more interesting. Kind of nasty looking, honestly. Francois says, just muted colors, more grimdark color palette, and more ranger cloaks for guardians. I think that would look like a great color scheme. Grimdark Eldar probably has a novelty, a greater novelty to it. Right? Especially on an army that, like as you described, your army that you're building is all wraiths. So the grim dark aesthetic would, I think, really lend to that, the army of ghost warriors, right? You go on to say, I get what you're saying, but I thought pride was something they specifically tried to avoid as it's a path to Slaanesh. That's true. I don't think that's wrong. I think that's how they ought to be. They ought to be an enlightened, they know better for their follies, but every time I see an Eldar depicted, it always feels like they know better, they look down on humans, they are lesser than, right? You still get that hoity-toity vibe. Unless there's examples that prove otherwise. Again, I haven't read many Eldar books. I've only seen the Eldar depicted in lore from the Space Marine book perspectives in the Horus Heresy and in 40k. So, yeah, it's kind of like Primarchs, especially with Primarchs, where I want them to act in a way that makes them feel superior, but they always act stupid. Which annoys me, but is what it is. And I think that is the case for Eldar as well. They probably should act a bit more enlightened. Right? The Craft Worlds, anyways, because the Craft World Eldar, all, as my understanding goes, they all left their home worlds. Hence, you know, moving into the Craft Worlds, because they weren't down with the sickness, right? And then the Dark Eldar, who are down with the sickness, they should be the ones that still have those old attitudes. Xenophobic Space Marines canceled for being racist? Yeah, I hope not. It's kind of integral to the setting that Space Marines distrust and fear the unknown, right? I do know in current, more recent lore type things, we do see a bit more Eldari, at least on the Craft World side, the Inari side, collaboration with the Imperium. But it is very frowned upon by most. It seems like, you know, the attitudes, the xenophobia, with most characters, anyways, is just tolerated because this is something basically the Gilliman is facilitating. It's just and even then, the collaboration is very limited. It's not like they're fighting side by side. I think the instance I'm recalling, I think, was from one of the latter Dark Imperium novels, where there's one of Eldrad's envoys or emissaries, let's say, right? And he's kind of, you know, keeping tabs on what Gilliman's doing and like reporting back to Eldrad, so Eldrad has a understanding of what the Imperium is doing. I think that's what was happening in that particular book. All right, look, we pretty much painted a Neurooloid from High Fleet Tiamat live on stream. I wonder if I can do a bit of edge highlighting on this guy. I think the broken edge highlighting is the way to go. Sort of enhances the carapace texture, you know? Can pick out a few key ridges. I think that won't hurt. I really wish there was a Tyranids kill team. Really, that's what the starter set should have been. I mean, I get it that Death Guard players are probably happy to have access to those full mode Japanese Death Guard Space Marine heroes, but when there is no Tyranids kill team, and then you have a, you know, Tyranids being the stars for 10th edition, feels kind of suitable. And the kill team force, that's... Okay, look, hear me out, right? If a lieutenant was leading that kill team instead of a captain, you'd have an awesome, and I made this point in my post, you'd have an awesome analog to Titus's adventures in Space Marine 2. And then that pairs well with a Tyranids kill team. Because I would adore being able to take High Fleet Gengar on a kill team type scale. It is a little tough to have the operative specialist vibe for Tyranids. They probably have the hardest time leaning into that scenario, but I think you could with like Lictors and Raveners. Even a new Warriors kit probably could suffice because they have enough Warrior options. You have your melee specialist, your bruiser guy, your heavy venom cannon guy, Devourer guy with all the DACA. Oh, then there's your specialist done. I feel like it writes itself. Dang, I like this. I like the look of this plate for Tiamat. It's a good scheme, that's for sure. Matt Gaming, you're loving the stream. Happy to hear it. You know, if you're enjoying it, that's a bonus, and if you're getting some good hobby vibes, getting company while getting your projects done, that's a win. Yeah, this brush is on its way out. Big sad. Its stamina is basically depleted. I gotta put some gold in there. The bullets. You gotta paint your bullets. Where's my silver bottle cap? I'm gonna mix the potions. So get excited. Inquisitor's back. Did I miss anything exciting? Not particularly. I don't know, just chatting away about various 40k related topics. I put some contrast on the Neurooloid. I think it's looking pretty good now. I should probably, once the basing is done, I should probably leak some Volupus pink onto the ground texture. Kind of sound like his brain's been squished. Matt Gaming is right. We spoke about Eldar lore a little bit. Kind of talking about Eldar color schemes, how they're mostly not as aesthetically pleasing. Oh, and Matt Gaming, you think it looks amazing? I appreciate that. How kind. I think this guy's come together. Oh, can this... Oh god, that's pretty thick. Yeah, this brush is... It's lost its ability to hold paint and remain accurate. It fans out now. There's a bit of overspill, but because I didn't fully mix my paint, I should be able to clean it up fairly well. I mean, I mixed it, but I left a portion of silver separate. That's a little hobby tip for you guys. Next, I want to pump up the orange a little bit on this stripe. See what we can do. Friendly Neighborhood Inquisitor says, I thoroughly love Craftworld Eandon's scheme for Eldar. I think Eandon's one of the better. It's like in the top 3, probably, of the main craft worlds. It's Saiban, Biltan, and probably Eandon. In more or less that order, I think. Again, color preferences are subjective, obviously. But then every other, Oathway's okay, And get some pure red. I don't love the color here. I don't love the color of the stripe. Learn the technique of painting sound. You just kind of want to suggest the idea. But you're right, one does not simply paint sound. Why do I hate this? Why do I hate? opinions are subjective, mine just better. Yeah, very much the case. I wonder if we can do some scratches or something. Kind of break up the pattern a little bit, or the paint mark. And hopefully with a bit of edge highlighting, it all comes together. Maybe we should pursue that now. We gotta go brighter. Gotta go brighter. Instead of mixing dirty yellow, we'll use flash gits. Are you gonna have a paint off again? Is that what's gonna happen, guys? Another high stakes paint off. This is how we settle all arguments. Matt Gaming says, also I didn't realize up until today my other friend's Tau are red and gold, and not intentionally. His crisis suits look like Iron Man. Look, that's not the worst aesthetic. I'm rather fond of Iron Man. He's a good look, good design. That is a valid point, Francois. There's a reason why Alfarius isn't here. Too busy painting Lamenters. Inquisitor says, I think if it's gonna collect Lamenters, stick to the lore, and the end of every year, throw out half your army and spend the next year trying to rebuild. Ah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, stuck in an endless cycle of replenishing your losses. That's certainly a thematic way to collect Lamenters. Vehicles are too many points. It's like cheating. Oh yeah, that could definitely be abused in such a scenario. Only Nurglings, eh? Friendly Inquisitor, your typing is, I appreciate your acknowledging it. I have a hard time reading the chat as it is, so the blame is on you this time. Looks like I had a stroke. Like, it happens. It happens. Sometimes autocorrect fights you as well. Could be troublesome. I appreciate, okay, that regardless of your typing today, that you're engaging with the chat and sharing those good hobby vibes, okay? We'll just put that out there. Alright, that bolt gun's looking alright. Gotta do some dry brushing towards the front to kind of blacken the, get that soot-covered look. I think it's looking all right. Oh boy, guys, supposed to wrap up 10 minutes ago. Now we're in overtime, bonus round. I'm probably gonna wrap up soon though. Oh, that's too much. See this? See, I'm gonna teach you guys a lesson. That's too much wash, okay? You don't want to use that much. That would be overdoing it. So if I knew it was going to fight me so much, I would have just panel lined or recess shaded. I think I'll probably go with a blue on this screen. I'm hesitant to add another color to what's going on in this guy. Because he's got a lot going on. Okay, so maybe we'll do the buttons on his little wrist computer. We're gonna have two gray buttons and one red button, and that's like the emergency button, you know. Press this only in dire circumstances. Let's dab that with a bit of pure red. It should be sufficiently readable. Kind of like a Darth Vader style of computer. Very simple, big switches. Or maybe we can make the... No, we'll make it gray. I think one red button is more fun. Let's make this... Make that piece a little gray. Perfect. I wonder if I can add a little bit of color to the borders. Maybe that'll help it look illuminated or backlit. I think that looks pretty cool. Yeah, the vibrancy just looks so bad in OBS. I swear it looks cooler, okay guys? I will leave it like that. Mad Gaming says, too many colors is never a problem in the eyes of the Crayola Marines. Well, I think on that note, we'll wrap up. Thanks to everybody who joined me in today's hobby stream. It was very fun. I feel like it was fairly productive. Look, set out to paint the Neurooloid, and now it's done. I'd say that's a win. And I got some other accessories hit along the way. I think it looks, yeah, he's shaping up. He's gonna be a real cool dude, that's for sure. Anyways, guys, thanks to everyone who tuned in and shared in the hobby camaraderie, and every one of you guys who chatted away. I appreciate the company. And thanks to everyone who liked the stream. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.